Well, hello, everybody. We're going to talk about the postseason and what to do. Well, thanks for joining me here. I'm at the beach. We're just going to hang out and talk about some things relative to your postseason, some things to consider. Some of you have already achieved your race goals for this year, your events. Some of you have them upcoming. Um, some of you are a few more weeks away from that. But regardless of that, I want to talk about some things relative to your postseason and some things to start considering, some things to think about. We're here at the beach, so a lot of people think about your postseason as, hey, I'm going on vacation, I'm getting away from my training, and you just go away and you take several months off. Others just continue doing what you're doing. I would argue that neither of those are really the best intent. They could be right for you. They could be appropriate for you in some situations, but most of the time, neither of those two extremes of taking several months off or just continuing what you're doing is what you should be doing in your postseason. Okay, so some of the goals, some of the things that you should consider or would be looking at. What can you do in this off season? So we've got to review what you did in your season. How did that go? Are you tired? Are you mentally stressed? Are you fatigued mentally, emotionally from all the training that you've done? Are you sore? Are you injured? Have you been fighting some sort of little ache or pain for a while? How's your stress level? What's your world? We're now toward the fall, so we've got holiday seasons coming up and stress levels going on. We've got kids back in school and all these sort of things going on. Where's your stress level? And I would say, what else is going on? What's an inventory for you? How well did your season go? Did you meet your goals? Are there things that you want to celebrate from this past year? Are things that you want to identify as things to work on? What's that list? And that's something as you're ending your season, or if you've entered the postseason, that you should take an inventory of what you're looking for. The next thing then is looking for, what do you want to accomplish next year? What are your race goals? What races do you have coming up? When are they? Keeping that in context with the things we just talked about: injuries, stress, those sort of things. But this time of the year, I want to take through some things that I'd really like you to have a checklist of things that you would do, right? So what should those things be? And here we go. We're going to start with that checklist. Number one, I'm going to label as take a break. Okay. Most of the research out there, most people will chit chat and say, hey, you need a couple of weeks down. You need some rest. What does that mean? There's two things that I would throw out there for you with this take a break. There's absolute rest. Take 2 weeks and do nothing. Go on vacation, sit at the beach, get your feet up, just rest and relax. And then there's relative rest. Okay, where you back off, you maybe change the activities you're doing, you change how you've been doing them. You just need some relative rest for those couple of weeks. Either of those, I think, are appropriate for those 2 weeks. Which one is best for you? We got to go back and look at those things we talked about just a few minutes ago and put it into context. Within take a break, what are we trying to accomplish? Let your body recover. If you've been sore and you got some issues going on, let's address those. Do you need more flexibility? Do you need simply some rest because you got an ankle going on or a muscle soreness going on or something else going on? Let your body recover should be a goal. Definitely reduce your volume. Definitely reduce your volume. Pause. Take a break in terms of the emotional stress, the mental stress. Evaluate the last year. Stop and smell the roses, so to speak. Look back at your successes. What went well? What didn't go so well? I don't want to say be honest with yourself, because you're always going to be honest with yourself, but give yourself some grace in both of those of, really acknowledge what did go well and really acknowledge what didn't go well and what contributed to both of those. Was it because you were consistent or because you weren't consistent? Did you have something going on in your training, a life event? But again, you want to pause and smell the roses. Sleep in. Take a break. Those early morning trainings and that sort of thing, just enjoy vacations, sleep in, for those couple of weeks. Recharge your social life. Maybe you're going to hang out with friends that you haven't seen for a little while, revisit with family, do something different, right? Sometimes just changing the location or the environment or catching up with friends that you haven't seen in a while is a really big deal. And then the last thing I have under this take a break place is enjoy some different foods. Some of you have been so restrictive or you're very regimented in what you eat and what you're doing. Just enjoy some foods. Don't worry about gaining any weight or don't worry about those sort of things. Just have fun with that. Take a break. Don't be so rigid or stressed about those pieces. Okay. The second point I have is this is not the time to chase fitness. We're not trying to see if you can work on your marathon pacing. We're not trying to see if you can get more endurance. We're not chasing fitness. What we want to do during this off season, maybe after these couple of weeks of a relative downtime or you've taken a break, we want to prepare to build your fitness. We want to prepare your body to be able to withstand the rigors of what's going to be coming up in your next season. You know, that could be shorter, more intense things. We're going to work on some speed. We're going to work on some building resiliency. We're going to maybe do less running if your injuries or your stresses or the limiters have been coming from a lot of pounding. Let's do something different. Maybe we can get on the elliptical. Maybe we can get on a rower a little bit more. Maybe we need to focus on some other modality just to maintain fitness. If you've been doing a lot of hour and a half, 2 hours longer workouts, well, maybe what you're doing is you're doing some 30 minutes, some 45 minutes, just a little higher intensity, a little more intensity is the best word there, but not quite as long. Okay. Regain some motivation. Regain the freshness of why you enjoy this workout. Don't let it turn into your job. Don't let it turn into that stress. Focus on healthy habits. Focus on getting injury free. That could be self-care of, hey, I just need to, again, go on vacation. I've got a background here for that, just to help set that theme of the off season. Maybe it's getting more sleep. Maybe it's managing your stress. Maybe focusing on your nutrition. I don't want you to get, I'm not talking about the regimented stuff of it. I can only have certain things. Maybe you get an extra dessert there. Maybe it's working on your strength or your flexibility, your mobility, all the things that are going to help you be injury-free, all those healthy habits that we would want to look at. Focus on form and technique would be a great thing to happen during this off season. So what are your limiters? You know, a lot of times when we're doing training, we want to go faster. Most of us are, quote, fast enough. I know you're all going to argue with me about, I'm not fast enough, I will get faster. But if you could maintain the speed you had in that first mile, on your last mile, you didn't slow down as much, many of you would be happy or satisfied with what you could do on a 1 mile time trial or a 5K time trial. So what are our limiters? This would be a great time to identify some of those pieces. In the swim, obviously, if we don't have great form or we've got a lot of drag, we're going to have a lot of limiters. So we work on a swim focus thing, perhaps. Maybe in our runs, we lose form. We're not able to sustain a certain form technique, a certain power. We're not able to, our muscles fatigue and we can't do those things quite as long. So we slow down. How can we do that? We can do some video analysis. And in upcoming videos, we're going to talk about swim video analysis and how, if you want to have your swim analyzed, I'm going to give you some steps to do, where if you collect a video, then I've got some software where we can analyze it and go over together. We can break down or we can do technical work. If on the bike you're having issues or you had issues or you were having trouble climbing hills, well, there's some technical work we can do there. We can do some technical work on your running. We can do even more technical work on your swims. What's your cadence like? How good is your pull? Are you able to pull well? Are you getting your lats engaged? Being efficient on what's happening there. So those are also, that's a third thing that we would do on our focus relative to our postseason. Fourth thing I would have for you listed here would be prepare for the winter. What do I mean by prepare for the winter? It's going to be dark and dreary soon. Remember these months where it's not light out, but maybe a few hours. It doesn't really start getting light until 8 a.m. and then by 5 o'clock it's dark out. You know, if you work an 8 to 5 type of job, you don't really see the sun that much, and so it's dark, gloomy, dreary. Remember all the gray clouds, you know, that are going to be coming, you know, that where it's just overcast. especially for weeks on end. Every once in a while you get that sunny day, and you are so thankful for that sunny day. Start preparing for what that means for you. If you have a history of during those months of getting down or depressed kind of stuff, let's be proactive for those things. What can you do? What are some things that you can help yourself to mitigate those dark, dreary months, those months of training, those months of, oh, I got to get out of bed early and get to the pool, or get out of bed, get on the bike, or do your run, whatever that piece is, or get to strength class, or work on those pieces. Start preparing for how are you going to find the motivation, the accountability in those dark, dreary months here in the winter. Okay. So your postseason, I'm going to kind of recap some things here. Your postseason is a time to reflect back on what you've done and then prepare for what you're getting ready to do in this next upcoming year. How do you apply this postseason really depends on both of those answers, or what that is for you. Taking a break is appropriate. You need to take a break. How long is that break? A lot of variables go into that. What are you going to do on those during that break? Are you going to take a complete rest because your body is that sore and that beat up and so forth? I hope not. But if it has, then maybe a complete rest is appropriate. Do you take a relative rest for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Let's talk about that. Let's see where you're on those places. Do you need to do anything in terms of fixing your mental fatigue, fixing your physical fatigue and injury, that sort of thing? Let's talk about those pieces as well. Let's not worry about, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose fitness. I've got to push right now. This is not that time. You're not going to lose that much fitness. You're not going to get that far behind. You're going to feel like you're gaining weight. You're going to feel like you're going to lose fitness, but you're not. Be disciplined, be a smart jock, and give yourself time in this postseason to pause, take time to smell the roses and pause. Start looking at or thinking through what are the limiters for you from this past year. What should you improve to make the gains that you want to make for this next upcoming season? Okay, most of us, there's a few of you that we're all jealous about. Most of you are going to talk about your swims, and swims during the off season. There's not a whole lot of pounding on your body, so you get some relative recovery. There's a dark and gloomy time, so you get in the pool and really focus on those pieces. We can do some video analysis, all kinds of stuff. And then the final piece of that is preparing for the dark, gloomy months. Get your mind right. Understand that it's going to be dark and gloomy. It's going to be dreary at times. It's going to be for that week, for weeks on end. You're not going to have much sun. You don't have as much vitamin D. And if you have a history of going down a path there, let's prepare for it and let's chit chat. Okay. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for spending the time on the postings and taking the time for you. Now, what do? I want you guys to apply what we've talked about. Let's talk about it individually and discuss what's appropriate for you in these next, let's call it the next block, the next month, next 3 weeks. Where should you go individually? I want you to have some ideas. Obviously, in your training, I've got some ideas of what that looks like. And then let's talk about next year's goals. Let's hear what you got to say. Let's compare notes and come up with a plan over the next several months of our off season as prepare for things upcoming.